#1. Join us in the Lunchroom, our new midday talk show where we provide you with food for thought. The Lunchroom, a show that serves a mix of subjects, chatting with the personalities in and out of the news, developments, business, politics, technology, and the arts. In the Lunchroom, you'll get a taste of everything that's adding flavor to St. Lucia. The Lunchroom, weekdays after the news from 12:45 to 2 p.m. Only on RCi. On RCi.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International for Thursday, the 21st of May, 2026. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. In addition to radio, 101.1 FM, you can also get us at our website, rcistlucia.com. And we are streaming live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. So please check us out there and be sure to like and share that link with your friends and family. In just a bit, we're going to be discussing a brand new foundation to St. Lucia. Recently launched. That is the Massey Foundation, helping to give back and enrich the people of St. Lucia through corporate social responsibility. We're speaking with Mr. Kelly Mitchell, Division Head of Marketing Communications at Massey, in just a bit. But first, a look back in time on this day. We go back to the year 1792, where Mount Unsen in Japan's Shimabara Peninsula erupted, creating a tsunami and killing about 15,000 people in the country's deadliest volcanic eruption. In the year 1832, some U.S. political history, the first U.S. Democratic National Convention was held in Baltimore, Maryland. In the year 1871, on this day, French army attacked Paris, starting the Semaine Sanglante, or the Bloody Week, a week-long battle that killed up to 15,000 people within the Paris Commune. Aviation history, in 1927, aviator Charles Lindbergh, in the Spirit of St. Louis, landed in Paris after the first solo air crossing of the Atlantic. Not too long after, 1932, after flying for 17 hours on this day from Newfoundland, Amelia Earhart landed near Londonderry in Northern Ireland, completing the first solo transatlantic flight by a woman. And we now move on to our dish of the day.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program for today. And we do hope that you're having a very blessed Thursday. And there's a lot to discuss, but first we are going to be delving into the world of giving back a la Massey. And of course, for many St. Lucians, they know Massey as a staple destination on a weekly basis, as their destination of supermarket choice here in St. Lucia. And of course, they do a lot of other things. Massey Home now being part of the mix. But Massey, certainly a much older company, originally out of Trinidad and Tobago, that has found itself all across the Caribbean and has in fact been giving back in different ways over the years. And recently launched right here in St. Lucia, the Massey Foundation, just about a month ago. And although they, from what Kelly was just telling me, that they've been in Trinidad since the 1970s, but reaching out into this part of the Caribbean for the very first time. So, Kelly Mitchell, Division Head of Marketing Communications at Massey, thanks so very much for joining us here at the Lunchroom.
All right, thank you very much, Calix. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure passing through RCI. And you know, whenever I'm here, it's all about some really good news. And so I'm happy to share some information on the recently launched Massey Foundation in St. Lucia.
Fantastic indeed. Now, Massey Foundation, what is it? And what kind of role is it going to play within the St. Lucian landscape?
Right. So basically, the Massey Foundation is the philanthropic arm of the Massey Group. And as you know, Massey operates in Trinidad, Barbados, Guyana, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And for us here in St. Lucia, you would well appreciate that we have been doing quite a bit in terms of community upliftment projects, development, etc. What the Massey Foundation is set up to do is really to do that in a more structured format, right? We would have put a framework in place and set some sort of a governance structure. So we have what you call an advisory panel who will meet and review those proposals on a monthly basis and make recommendations to the board in terms of approvals and so on. So it's basically Massey stepping up a bit to do even more than what we have already been doing in the environmental space, in the social space. We are very happy to do it because we are a regional player, and it's just what we would like to do to continue serving our people, not just in products and services, but in a holistic way.
And are there any particular focus areas that this foundation is going to be looking into?
Yeah, for sure. For us, we have primarily 4 main focus areas, and that is of education. And when we speak of education, we're not talking just the traditional education. We're talking about digital literacy, robotics, and all these things, as we embrace technology and so on. So education is a key focus area. We're talking health and wellness. How do we support stakeholder groups and to enable them to even do more? We talk about the Cancer Society, we talk about the Diabetes Association, etc. We also talk about food security. Calix, I know that's the one we could talk about from now until next year. How do we create an environment where we can self-sustain ourselves in terms of food and food security? So that's another area. And of course, environmental sustainability. That Massey has been championing that for years in St. Lucia, with the e-waste collection and drive and waste management system. With plastics, we will work with several stakeholders in that area, and we continue to do so. So these are the 4 main areas. So once this Massey Foundation is really speaking to persons in the NGO sector, not-for-profit sector, change makers, persons who are interest groups that are organized and say, listen, we want to make a difference in our community. We are really speaking to you. That's the target audience. You put your proposals together. Once it's aligned to any of those 4 strategic pillars, definitely you can put a proposal together and send it in for funding under the Massey Foundation.
Now, you said you've already been doing quite a bit, even before the formalization of the foundation here. Yep. What are some of the initiatives that you could point to already that Massey has been supporting in St. Lucia? Yeah,
so just to give you some quick highlights, we have been working with the SSDF for a number of years with the Our Boys Matter program. That's a social program that is very much needed in St. Lucia. And I must commend the SSDF because they have been doing a marvelous job with this program in terms of when I look at the reports on a monthly basis, they are very detailed, very impactful in terms of the work, the outreach work that organization is doing. We've also supported the aquaponics project in Vieux-Fort with the for persons living with disabilities. That's another project along the line of sustainability and sustainable agricultural practices. We talk about food security. And we would have supported the Cancer Society and other initiatives such as the Joakali plastic waste management. We would have supported those initiatives. We have our signature project, which is the e-waste recycling project in partnership with Green in the Caribbean, where we try to promote a circular economy. And I could go on and on, So
and you say e-waste,
e-waste, electronic waste, yes, yes. And, we could go on and on, but I just wanted to mention some of those big ones. And so we are not going to stop that. And as I said, the foundation is really just going to give us that framework to do more in a more structured manner, and give us a chance to measure the impact of what we're doing a little bit closer, because at the end of the day, we don't just want to be throwing money out there, but we want to make sure we put in money where it matters most and where we can get the maximum returns to benefit not just individuals, but communities at large.
And I think you perhaps already answered my next question, but which is really about why this whole thrust towards corporate social responsibility is important for a company, a financial company, a company like Massey that's, of course, looking at, the profit margins as well, but it's still important for you to be looking at this aspect.
Yeah, well, for us, corporate social responsibility is very critical. I think the companies that will survive the future are the ones that understand how to balance the equation between the profit motive against environmental sustainability, against people. At the end of the day, everything has to work together, right? And so, yes, we are a business and we are commercially driven, but we understand fully that without communities, without people, we cannot succeed as businesses. And so, as a regional enterprise, we take it very serious to ensure that we do what we can within our societies in which we operate. It really speaks to how we look in terms of how investors look at us, how persons in the communities look at us, and that is where we really get the buy-in. So we understand that it's our responsibility to help where we can. Again, we can't do everything, but we will pick and choose the areas where we want to play and make a big impact. So for us, it's not an option, but it's something that is very high up on our strategic agenda to ensure that we are doing things within the communities. We are very big on ESG, right? Environmental, social, and governance. And that is why we put that governance structure in place with the Massey Foundation. So no, it's not just about somebody send you a proposal and you say, okay, yes or no. We have a full framework, a governance structure in place, a full advisory panel who are going to look at these proposals coming in, see where it fits in terms of the 4 strategic pillars, see where it fits in terms of where we are moving in terms of sustainability and how, as a company, as Massey, can use our influence to make a real meaningful change in our societies. And that's basically what it is. So for us, it's not an option, but it's something that we hold very dear to our hearts.
Mm-hmm. And I think, again, you've already sort of answered the next question for me in my mind as to how you go about this process of project selection. You did mention, of course, having that governance framework. Maybe you could speak a little bit more to how that really works. You said there's a committee in place. Is this a committee in headquarters in Trinidad, or is it a committee here in St. Lucia? How does that work?
So for St. Lucia, we have a committee based right here in St. Lucia. And it's comprised of senior executives from the Massey Group based in St. Lucia. And we also have 2 what we call independent members, persons who are actively involved in community work in St. Lucia, but just to give us sort of a balance, in terms of decisions and so on. And so once we receive those proposals, we will sit down, review. We have some set criteria that we're looking to make sure that it covers, and then we make a recommendation to the board. So, for example, if for a particular month we receive 20 proposals, our initial screening, we may narrow it down to 5 that may fit the profile as to what we're looking for. And then we will put that 5 proposals forward to the board and say to the board, listen, we strongly feel that these 5 proposals are worthy of funding. And then obviously the board has the final say, but we are the ones to do that initial work to make sure that we fine-tune so that it becomes easy for the board to approve, right? Calix, in terms of accessing information to the fund, the Massey Foundation funding, now we direct persons to our website. So it's www.masseystoresSLU.com. Once you go onto the Massey website, there is a web banner that speaks to the Massey Foundation. It's right front and center. You can't miss it. You click on the web banner, it takes you to a landing page. That is where you find all the details in terms of program overview, criteria, requirements, etc., etc. It's very detailed, so we encourage persons to read the information, and then once you feel comfortable that you understand what is required of you, then you can download the application form, fill it in, scan it, and send it back with your supporting documents, or you could even choose to fill it in electronically. Right? So it's all up to your comfort level. But every detail is there in terms of the dedicated email address to send your proposals to. Everything is there on the website. So we encourage persons to go onto the website, www.masseystoresSLU.com, click on the web banner that speaks to Massey Foundation, and you can take it from there. But, we're excited about it because it really gives us a chance to make a bigger impact, because as you know, Calix, but just the nature of what we do, we impact every family, every household in St. Lucia on a daily basis. So it just makes sense to ensure that we do what we can, within reason and within budgets to ensure that we maintain that spot.
Now, quite often I know with a lot of foundations there may be a particular window within which individuals have to send in applications and maybe deadlines. How does that work in respect of the Massey Foundation? I know you're just starting off, so maybe you may want to give us an indication. Is this the right time for individuals to be sending in
Yeah,
proposals.
for sure. So we launched it just about a month ago, and we're open for applications. Now, you're making a very good point, or that's actually a very good question, Calix, because some foundations, they will give you a window. So you can apply between X and Y period, and then we close until next year. Fortunately, I would say fortunately for the potential stakeholders out there, that is not how we operate. So we accept applications year round, right? So we have a designated resource who is going to be dealing with those applications, sorting, doing whatever he or she needs to do to prepare those proposals for approval. So fortunately for the persons out there, it's not a window. It's year round. We're gonna be reviewing those proposals. What I can say to you is just to give a sense as to timelines. Based on the nature of the project and the amount involved in terms of budget, you can expect to receive feedback within 8 to 12 weeks, depending on the scope of the project, so to speak.
So from the point where you've submitted an application, you're speaking about 2 to 3 months before you can actually get
the final approval, depending on the amount you're requesting and the nature of the project. I could also give some indication that the board is going to be meeting like every 6 weeks to give a sense as to how your expectations, to manage your expectations. But nothing stops an individual or organization from sending a normal sponsorship request or donation request. What we're saying is that the foundation now gives us a little bit more room to do more in a more structured way. So, for example, Calix, you may send me a proposal and say, listen, I have this project, and it might be a wonderful project. I may redirect you and say to you, Calix, wonderful idea, but I think you should channel it through the Massey Foundation. So we will give those sort of advice to potentials and so on. If you send a proposal that it's lacking something, we see the potential, but maybe you didn't articulate the vision and the objective and the potential impact clear enough, we will work with you to say, listen, we're seeing something there, but we want you to kind of tweak it a little bit so that it gets, because when we put it forward to the board, we don't want to know. We want whatever we put forward to the board, we want it to be approved. So we will work with the persons, and wherever we see potential, we will give the guidance.
Now, just to be also clear, I mean, you are, of course, I know, targeting a lot of NGOs and charity organizations, that type of group. But are you in a position to make individual contributions? I mean, contributions to individuals who may have particular challenges? I mean, let's say in terms of healthcare or education, is that within the purview of the Massey Foundation?
Yeah. So very good question, because what we try to do, we want to ensure we impact in communities, right? So whoever we fund has to be registered, or maybe you're not registered, but there's a track record that you are a legitimate entity within a particular community that has been known, tried and tested for mobilizing projects and so on within your communities. We try not to fund individuals, to be quite honest, because then the question is, where do you draw the line? Right? Yeah. So, for example, and I'll give you an example, we do a lot of work with the National Community Foundation, who, as you know, gets a pool of resources from various stakeholders, and then they channel it as they see fit based on their requests. So we probably would fund the National Community Foundation, who would then go down to the nitty-gritty and say, okay, well, Calix needs help here, we could help Calix. But Massey...
So you may not help Jane Doe
directly
with her cancer treatment, but you would help the Cancer Society.
That's right, correct.
Who would then provide support.
Correct. So we work through these recognized stakeholders to ensure that we get the benefit trickles down to the ordinary man on the street kind of thing.
And I mean, you did mention, of course, that budget and thresholds, especially with the Massey Foundation, maybe looking at a little bit larger projects maybe. But is there like a minimum? Is there a maximum? Do you want to give a sense as to where you normally pitch the scale of your intervention?
Yeah, so since we're just starting, we didn't set a minimum or maximum just yet. No, probably give us 6 months, a year into it, then we probably would put those in place. But we kind of want to monitor, see what's happening for now. But there's no minimum, there's no maximum. For us, it's really about organizations being able to articulate the objective of the project or the initiative, being able to tell us, okay, what is the potential impact of this project. What is this project going to do for my community or for the community in question? And give us a sense of your budget. In other words, if you were requesting $50,000 to do a project, and Massey says to you, listen, I believe in this project, excellent project, we are going to give you half of that amount. The question is, are you able to access funding from another partner, another corporate partner? You should be able to tell us that, because what we don't want is to fund something halfway and it collapses.
Right.
So that is the kind of dialogue we want to have. But again, there is no max or min at this time, but it's something that we will gauge as we go, and probably by next year we could say, okay, minimum $10,000, maximum $50,000. You know, just as an example.
Yes, of course. And if you're just joining us, we are speaking with Mr. Kelly Mitchell. He is the division head for marketing communications at Massey right here in St. Lucia. And we're talking about the recently launched Massey Foundation, which is an institution that has been around in other jurisdictions for a little while and is now spreading itself across all the various, I guess you want to call them Massey jurisdictions or Massey countries, of which, of course, St. Lucia is very much one of. We've been speaking quite a little about the foundation and all the work that it is able to do, and, of course, the hope that a lot of NGOs and groups out there can take advantage of that. You said there's no window as yet right now, so it really is, which is a good news for a lot of agencies and institutions, because they may not necessarily be able to always meet the deadlines. So you can, pace yourself and put together a good, project proposal.
That's right.
Lastly, of course, do you have any final thoughts, any final messages for the St. Lucian audience regarding the Massey Foundation?
Right. Well, I would just want to reiterate a few things, just to make sure that persons understand. So the Massey Foundation is just Massey way of formalizing our CSR involvement in St. Lucia, corporate social responsibility. We are going to do it in a more structured format. So we are encouraging persons to go onto our website for sure. That's where you're going to get information. So it's www.masseystoreslu.com. There's a web banner there that speaks to Massey Foundation. You click on it, it takes you to a landing page. Every information that you need is there, and you can make the application there. I want to also re-emphasize that we are focusing on 4 main areas, which is education, health and wellness, environmental sustainability, and food security. So once your project or your initiative is aligned to any one of those, we encourage you to apply. We're particularly targeting game changers in the communities, the movers and shakers, persons who are part of registered and recognized charities, not-for-profit organizations. That's who we're really speaking to, because there are some key criteria that you would need to fulfill to be considered, right? So if you're a registered charity, we would want to see your registered certificate, those kind of things. And as you go onto the portal, you will see all that you need to have. So we encourage persons to take some time, put your proposal together. This is your chance to make an impact in St. Lucia by gaining some funds from the Massey Foundation. We are happy to do it, and we will continue to serve the people of St. Lucia in the best way we can, not just by bringing the best in products and services to your table or to your homes, but we will also ensure that we support the communities and support the environment as we go forward, because we know that we are a regional player and we know that we have that responsibility, which we take very seriously.
Now, I just have about a minute left, I think, before we have to go to a break, but I have 2 very quick questions, actually.
Yeah.
One, I know you said NGOs, but then would you be in a position to perhaps help, say, cooperatives? Like, let's say, for example, if you have an agricultural cooperative or fisheries cooperative.
For sure.
Would they be also access?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other question as well, what about continuity? Because I know that's sometimes a challenge for some charities, NGOs. They may get a project this year, and it only takes them thus far. Is there a scope for more long-term partnership with the Massey Foundation, multi-year partnerships? I would say yes for now. What I would say is that I don't think we will give a long-term commitment, but we will fund you this year, for example,
we do a review. Once we're satisfied, we can fund you the next year and the following year. At the end of the day, it's all about the impact that you're making. So I would say yes, but to say that we would sign an initial long term for 5 years, again, we're just setting it up. So we will monitor and then make the necessary tweaks as we go.
Right. So, of course, you build some level of trust and understanding. Hey,
Correct.
this entity is doing well and we want to support that work. Wonderful. Of course, we've been speaking with Kelly Mitchell, Division Head of Marketing and Communications for Massey, and telling us all about the Massey Foundation, just recently launched here in St. Lucia. And of course, you can check them out on their website, masseystoresstlucia.com, for lots more information. There is no set window. You can sending an application at any time, and of course, and you'll be willing to do follow-ups and work with the various individuals and entities rather, to ensure that they can get good proposals in.
That's right.
Wonderful.
That's right.
Thank you so very much, Kelly Mitchell. And of course, you continue to be listening to the Lunchroom. We're going to take a quick break to take in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And so, of course, the 1.1 is now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing from the east and near 22 miles per hour or 35 kilometers per hour. The weather partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with a few showers. There is an advisory in here which reads that small craft operators and sea beavers should exercise caution due to locally rough seas. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles, partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with a few scattered showers. And the tropical weather outlook. The Atlantic high pressure system will maintain moderate to brisk easterly winds and locally rough seas over the region during the next few days. Patches of low-level clouds drifting along the wind flow will cause some showers over parts of the Lesser Antilles during the next 24 hours. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And this has been your weather forecast as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath.
This has been RCi's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCi 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. We've got about 25 minutes to go before the hour of 2 o'clock. And of course, we were just speaking to on the Massey Foundation, and Kelly Mitchell of Massey telling us all about that opportunity. Indeed, a wonderful opportunity for NGOs and groups, if you might be in youth empowerment or dealing with vulnerable groups, and a lot of assistance being required. That's all possible in terms of the Massey Foundation, and certainly a very welcome step within the focus of philanthropy. Very important to be able to have philanthropic entities available for supporting the work of entities out there that are doing a lot of good things. And we need this. We certainly quite often look at areas, whether it's sport, whether it's culture, music, and we quite often lament over what is available for our young people, to be able to support them, to mold them, to form them. And it's unfortunately not always available for a lot of young people. So certainly the work of the private sector in national development is critical, and the need for them to, in fact, give back. And to, of course, also give back in very structured ways so that people know what is out there, what is available. So this, I think, is certainly very welcome, and we do hope that entities can put in the effort to look for areas where they can, in fact, make a difference, whether through putting in their own sweat equity, through volunteering, and bringing people together. That's very important. And in this society right now, where everything is valorized, everything is about, well, what are you going to pay me? It really goes contrary to that idea of self-help, potluck, coup de main within our society, and the idea that, hey, yes, there are things that people can do, and because they realize that there's a need for it to be done, and so initiatives like Massey Foundation certainly are welcome within that context, and the importance of the private sector to be able to give back. Some of them do so very quietly. Some of them do make a big splash about it, and certainly let people know as to their efforts and what they are doing. But it is very important to be able to look at it and to hopefully be able to quantify it in the long run. Now, the matter of violence and is one, unfortunately, we have to note again here in St. Lucia, and that is as a result of a very unfortunate killing incident which occurred sometime yesterday evening in the region of Ancillary in the Roseau Valley, I believe, and a very, very unfortunate situation where a young lady was shot and killed, and this young lady being a mother, being somebody's daughter, somebody's family member, loved one, and certainly very unfortunate that she has now become an individual who would have no doubt have had lots of aspirations and desires to be able to look to the future and to the future of her own child. And that has all been snuffed away. That has all been taken away from her at such a critical time in the life of her family and life of her daughter. And to what end? To what end? And it is highly unfortunate that we have to hear about these matters playing out in our society. And we've seen it, time and time again, this type of violence and this type of idea that somehow you can control other individuals, you can take power over individuals, or you want revenge, or there's some action that is certainly not in keeping with the idea of human rights, and that everybody has rights and everybody has choices, and everybody has a right to life. And these types of actions have to be condemned in the strongest possible way. And it goes to show that we certainly have a long way to go still in terms of our thinking, our attitudes, the communities that we exist in. We, of course, do not know the precise circumstances of the incident, and the perpetrator of the incident has not yet been brought to justice. That process, of course, will have to be handled by the police, as well as, of course, going through a process of prosecution, head to the courts for a determination. But it is unfortunate that the judicial system has to be so burdened with so many of these types of cases in the long run. And there's, of course, a plea that is being made because there have been suggestions that this young individual, this young lady, had made reports in the past, suggestions that she was trying to overcome certain things, not to say necessarily that may have been directly connected in any way with her demise, but it is very much a situation where we all want to believe that there is a justice system, that there are means by which people can redress, can have their differences redressed in a peaceful and amicable manner. And in fact, yes, certainly sometimes the state has to get involved. Sometimes the state has to intervene to ensure that the interest of all parties is and are respected. And that, I think, is something that we have to hope that we can see better being done in that respect. So, of course, we want to extend our condolences to the family in question, the family that, of course, now has the headache and heartache and angst and the issue of dealing with all the emotions that they have to be faced with right now, and the impact that has at the family level cannot be understated. And when you multiply these unfortunate events, you begin to realize that you're getting more and more and more. You have situations where you have families being thrown into the question as to who will now take care of these children, or who will now, children are becoming orphaned as a result of some of these actions. The loss of parents, a major blow for a child at young ages. So it certainly is something that has long-term implications in respect of the ability to support children, the ability for these children to now go on and live what we can call ordinary lives, right? And how is that going to be achieved if they do not, of course, get the kind of support that would normally come from their parents or from their family, or they would now have to deal with the issue of loss. They now have to deal with the issue of not being able to trust people. And there are a lot of these psychological impacts that are imparted by acts, right, where individuals' lives are taken. And unfortunately, I can say that some people are just not thinking. They're just not thinking. Human beings, we've been around for a very long time. And one of the things that we have to realize is that we've got to be able to deal with our emotions. There's that aspect of it, and there's also the aspect of emotional intelligence. And both of those very, very closely connected, but you've got to be able to think things through and not act on emotion. And that is a major problem that we are dealing with in society. Some may say as well that in some instances we have serious challenges with respect to mental health. And that comes in different forms. Mental health is not necessarily somebody screaming and shouting and taking off all their clothes and running through the town naked, and or these types of schizophrenia. And there are these extremes, perhaps, of situations which sometimes manifest, but there are others as well. And so the matter of mental health is very important. In fact, I think in one study recently, it was placed as one of the top issues in terms of healthcare in the world, being seen by many people. And it is very important that we look towards this issue of mental health, upbringing, and how we can ensure that individuals are able to deal with their emotions, how we can ensure that, we can assist people in being able to be more rational, be more respectful, of course, of individuals and their decisions. It is, of course, a great battle, and particularly in respect of differences amongst the genders, how people are perceived, how people see issues. It's a big issue, yeah, for sure. And so that's why we know that domestic cases can quite often be very, very difficult to settle, especially, of course, if you're dealing with people in relationships, you're dealing with children in the mix, you're dealing with a lot of these things, and they can become very divisive. They can become very emotional. And unfortunately, in these types of situations, people quite often don't realize that this is really something they've got to be able to handle. So in as much as you're hearing that, you're going to be marrying out of love and the emotions and all of that, that's all good. But the need, of course, to be able to be rational, the need to be able to deal with differences in a peaceful way is very, very important in how we can move forward as a society. So socializing, very important, and the whole matter of how we socialize our boys, even more so. We, of course, are seeing the challenges in the society in respect of males. And some people call it male underperformance. Some people are pointing to the challenges of that, but a lot of it has to do as well with how we socialize our males, how we socialize boys or men. And that has to be part of the conversation that has to be had by the society so that it can begin to look at some of these things which we quite often accept as the norm. Cultural practices, behavior, these tendencies, they get passed down, and they quite often get so very hardened because these are things that are taught, unfortunately, sometimes in the home. And we sometimes believe that, if it's something that is in the home, children are learning it from parents, and they may not always be the right types of approaches. And they get passed down and passed down and passed down as problems, which are weaknesses in terms of social structure that are not always appreciated. And so it is a big challenge. And, what people will say, whose responsibility is it really to re-socialize? Is it the state's responsibility? Is it the society's responsibility? Would it be that the government is overstepping, or whose responsibility is it? And there are a lot of players, there are a lot of actors, there are a lot of entities that are out there who have to certainly come to some sort of a point of impact in terms of how to deal with the issue of socialization. It is, I would say, certainly something that, to some degree, yes, the state has a role to play to some degree. It's not necessarily overstepping, but in all instances, the idea is that there has to be some guidance in terms of tackling some of these things. And so even the idea of parental education is not a bad one. The idea that, parents don't automatically know what necessarily the best practices are in terms of child care and child rearing. And so, there are a lot of things that have to be going into that aspect. So we put a lot of emphasis on training and development and formal education, teaching lots of, academic and technical skills, and putting all of those things out there. But yes, there are, in fact, a lot of key skills, a lot of key social skills that also have to be imparted. And they have to be imparted perhaps not even only in the household, in the family, but perhaps even at the institutional level, especially if the family system is underperforming, is not doing what it is supposed to do. It does, however, speak to the need for individual responsibility. And quite often, we will be lamenting the state of things. And then, of course, we say, hey, look at the state of crime. Look at the state of what's going on out there, right? And yes, there is a responsibility that has to be held by the individuals, by families, and by communities. There has to be that desire, for sure, that the individuals want to see a better society. And it therefore means that we have to act. There has to be action, whether it is at the level of the individual, the family, the club, right, the institutions that we are all part of. There is a role for all of them to see that, look, there has to be a greater role and a greater good. We were just speaking about it as well in terms of corporate social responsibility, right? Well, there is also individual social responsibility. There's also community social responsibility, the family social responsibility as well. So in as much as, especially given the world that we live in right now, it's so individualized that people believe that, you're just going to take care of yourself. You're just going to do, I'm going to do me, right? That's what you hear quite a lot. But not appreciating that in many instances, it may very well come back to impact you. And that collectivism is something that is quite often rejected these days, but it's something that we've got to certainly look at moving forward as a society. The building up of institutions that can actually support this type of work are also very important. And we heard, of course, about the efforts of institutions like these uniformed groups of the past. The Guides, the Brownies, the Scouts, the Cadets, these types of institutions which sort of tried to build belonging, try to build, imparting of particular skills. But they were certainly had to be more than just teaching individuals how to do knots and how to put up a tent, or how to climb a tree or something like that, right? There are some practical skills that are very good to know, but as well, the importance of respect, the importance of discipline, the importance of collective action. Those things as well quite often imparted through some of these structured types of organizations. So there is value. And I think more and more we are seeing that it is vital that we get back to a point where there is still a space for a lot of these to be existing at this time. So again, we definitely have to have this purpose and dedicated desire to see a meaningful change in respect of the society, because really, how are you going to build an economy if you do not have that social foundation? It's not going to be able to last. There are always going to be significant challenges and faults and cracks if that society is not going to be grounded on, if that economy is not going to be grounded upon a strong people, people that have good values and the ability to ensure that that economy makes any sense. Because otherwise, what is the point of having those more resources, the more money that you have now, if in fact it could potentially be taken away just like that, if it could be lost because of crime and violence, right? Those things, of course, are not going to be sustainable if there is not a good social sustainability in place. And so the idea of social peace certainly very important at this time. And we really hope that there can be an opportunity to make a change in respect of our current trajectory. No doubt about it, we're at the not even the end of the month as yet, the 5th month, and we are already seeing 34 homicides. If we try to extrapolate that becomes a very scary figure, right? By the end of the year. Let's hope we don't get to that point at all in respect of the homicide rate here in St. Lucia. But it is, of course, a lot more than the homicide rate. The question is, why are people doing what they are doing? What is causing them to be able to take those kinds of actions? And the research into that is very much vital if we are to be able to know how to remedy, how to tackle these issues in the very long term. That's our program here today at the Lunchroom, and we do hope that you can join us again tomorrow for another one. I'm your host, Calix George Jr., wishing you a very good day.